So you're probably wondering why I'm sat in the office and not sat on the bank somewhere. The answer is, with the colder weather coming in, I know I'm going to have less time to go fishing, and there's going to be less videos as a result of that. So I just thought I'd have a little update video, just to show you a little bit behind the scenes, a little bit of what happens once I've got the footage from fishing, what happens after that when I come back to the office. And also just to go through a few bits of kit as well that I use. There might be some people out there watching these videos thinking, how does he do it? How does he put the videos together? What kit does he use? And maybe if you wanted to go out and make a video, what kit would you need to do it? Obviously you need to buy a camera. I thought long and hard about cameras. I started off with a Canon 550D, which was a digital SLR camera with a standard kit lens. I bought a couple of other cheap lenses for it as well, but I just wanted something a bit more. I did a lot of research into what was available. It's a minefield out there, it really is. You could spend as much as you want or as little as you want. But at the end of the day, you've got to buy something that's tailored to your needs. And after a lot of deliberation and a lot of YouTube videos, just checking out reviews and this, that and the other, I settled on this bad boy. This is a Sony FDR AX53. It's a little handy cam. I thought I was going to get a digital SLR and chuck some lenses on it and Bob's your uncle, but I wanted something that was a bit more of a dedicated video machine, and that's exactly what this is. I mean, it's small, you can see how small this is, it fits in the palm of my hand, but it does an amazing job. I've probably had this for about 2 years now and it's still going strong. I haven't had any problems with it. There's a couple of things on it that I don't particularly like, but there are lots of things on here that I really do like. The quality that comes out of it, well, if you've seen the films then you'll know the quality that comes out of this is really good. A lot of it is about the bitrate, and if you use a higher bitrate when you export, although it will take longer to export and it will be a bigger file size, when you put it on YouTube and they do all their compression stuff to it, you'll still end up with a decent video. But what you do need is something that's going to record really well in the first place, and this does that. It's got Zeiss glass, famous Zeiss glass that is always associated with Sony cameras. It records in 4K, but I must be honest, I haven't used the 4K function yet because 1080p is absolutely fine enough, and it's smaller file sizes, so I'm not using hundreds and hundreds of hard drives. And it's 4K, if your computer's not up to it. My computer is a fairly decent computer that I had built for me, but it's still not a gaming PC, if you will. So if I was trying to edit with 4K, it would probably be laggy and it would take a long time. That would just be really annoying. So after a lot of to and fro, I went for this camera. It's got a rotating ring on the front, and you can program that to do whatever you want it to do. I've got it for focus. So when there's a button underneath this ring, and it says manual. If I push that button, it switches from autofocus to manual focus, and then I can use this ring to pull focus, to focus on something close and then focus on something far away. So that's really handy. What you've got to be careful with is that you don't actually knock the camera while you're doing it, because if it moves you can see that on the film and that can be hard to get rid of. The batteries last a good while. This is one of the batteries that come with it. You can buy aftermarket batteries, which is what I've got. I've got some bigger capacity ones. I've got 4 batteries in total, and that's more than enough for a long day's filming. Pull-up screen is handy. You can spin it all the way around like you can on most of them, so when you're actually blogging you can see yourself and frame yourself up properly. Touchscreen menu system on there is really good. It takes a single SD card. We've also got an electronic viewfinder, which I find really handy if I'm filming in bright sunlight and can't see the screen properly because the sun's glaring straight onto it. I can pull out this electronic viewfinder which flips up, and then I can see beautifully. So that's a really good feature. It's got a hot shoe on top, so I can put microphones, lights, all sorts of stuff on the top there. Speaker at the front is good, but not as good as an external microphone, like a Rode microphone that I'll plug in. The zoom rocker is on the top here. There's also zoom on the screen when you open it up, but I think the more you touch the screen while you're actually recording, the more chance you've got of actually moving the camera. But the zoom rocker on top is really good. You can obviously left for wide and right for telephoto. You can if you can, you've got to master it, but if you can just gently touch it, you can zoom in and out really gently, but you've got to really master it. If you go all the way, it will zoom in and out really quickly, so it takes a bit of jiggery pokery and a bit of practice to get that, but I do like to zoom in and out in post. So what I'll do is I'll just take a static shot, and then once I've got the footage back on the computer and I'm doing my editing, that's when I will scale down with keyframes and make it look like I'm zooming rather than actually try and do it with the camera, because then there's no camera shake or anything if you do it in post. The biggest problem I've got with this camera, and I wish that it would just go away but it won't, is this button here, a little silver button, and it's the photo button, so it switches it from video mode to photo mode. And it's really annoying because it's so close to the zoom rocker, you keep touching it. And when you touch it, obviously if you're looking through the viewfinder or you're concentrating on the subject, it's easy to touch it. And when you touch it, you get an error message come up on the screen. You've actually got to press the cross in the corner to make it go away. And that is really annoying. It's one of them things you live with. But yeah, it'd be nice if that wasn't there. It's got a little slidey drawer here with your USB and your microphone, so that's where I plug the microphone into. Don't use the USB. There's a little panel down here for the charger to go into if you're going to charge the battery while it's still on the camera, but I've got a dual charger which I bought, an aftermarket dual charger, so you can charge up 2 batteries at the same time, which obviously saves a lot of time, especially if you forget that you've got to shoot tomorrow and you remember at midnight. You can quickly put 2 batteries on charge and get yourself out of trouble. And there's a headphone port just down the bottom here as well, and there's also an infrared port there, so you can get a remote control for this and you can actually control it with a remote control. So that is a really quick and brief overview of the camera that I use. This is the main camera that I use for filming most things really. If it's moving stuff, then I use the small camera that I'm actually blogging with at the moment. I'll use that on a gimbal, and I'll get some really smooth cinematic footage with that. But with this, it's good for the stuff where it sits on the tripod. If I'm fishing, it's filming me. If I'm getting little bits of B-roll, I can just carry the tripod along with this on it, and I can just point it somewhere and get a bit of footage of a coot or a swan or whatever. So it's the camera that I'll talk to, it's the camera that picks up me fishing, it's the camera that probably does about 80% of the filming that goes towards making the films. On top of that, I've got the camera that I'm blogging with at the moment, which is another little Sony. It's a little mirrorless camera, which is a lovely little camera, flip up screen. I'll do another video about that. If this one's popular and people want to see more, maybe put in the comments you want to see a particular piece of kit or anything really, any subject. While it's cold and I can't get out fishing so much, maybe this is the way to go. Just pop a few of these in just to keep the films going out there. And as I said, there might be someone who's looking to buy one of these cameras. It might be that people are just interested in what cameras I use, what kit that I use, how I make these films, and like I said at the beginning, this is for them, for those people. This records in a multitude of frame rates, from 24 frames a second all the way up to 100 frames a second. And I use 24 when I'm talking to the camera, when I'm doing an interview piece and I'm going to be playing it back at real-time speed, so I don't have to mess around with the speed of it. 50 frames a second I use if I'm going to take a bit of static B-roll of just stuff in general, maybe some birds or some insects or grass, whatever it might be. And I can slow that down to 24, and it's kind of half speed, so it's not massive slow motion. You can see that it definitely smooths it out. And I've got 100 frames a second as well, which obviously when I put that on a 24 frames a second timeline, that's going to be a quarter speed, so that's going to be quite slow, and that's like your release shots when I'm putting the fish back in the water and you want it to slowly amble off. Maybe there's a spray of water and you want some water droplets and it all looks all dramatic and cinematic and so on and so forth. So those are the frame rates that I use, and this camera does it all. You can't put lenses on there, which is a little bit of a bind at times. It's as wide as it is and it's as long as it is, you know, without being able to adjust too much. But for me, I find it's wide enough, and the zoom on it, it's got a 30 times optical zoom, and then it's got a digital zoom that goes beyond that, but it's absolutely rubbish and it's unusable. But the 30 times clear image zoom, they call it, I can use that all the way down. It's really, really good. So if you're thinking about buying a camera, these are about, I think they're about £700. So it's a fair amount, but it's a lot of camera for the money, and it's a dedicated video camera as opposed to being a photography camera that does a bit of video, if that makes any sense. So yeah, so that's the Sony FDR AX53. So I hope you didn't find this too boring. It's just a little bit of a behind the scenes look at what goes on. I've been wanting to do this for a while actually, and I think with the cold weather coming up and I'm going to be fishing less, it's an ideal opportunity to do it. So if you enjoyed it, give us a bit of a thumbs up, maybe put a comment in if you want more, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.